because Olympics starts 26. How important is the fact that you have played there 4 months before? You know, at least you have a sense of the conditions. How important is that?
I think it's really important than the All England. I feel as in to get those conditions because we never played there. It's a new stadium and to get the figure it out like how it will be in the July. Maybe it will be little, maybe something will be different in the Olympics. But to go there and see like we are playing for the first time, like not only we, everyone is playing for the first time. So it's gonna be tricky. Like so we go there and it's really good that they are conducting a tournament before the Olympics, like exactly 4 months before. So it will give you one idea like how it will be. So it's gonna be. Uh, Kind of used to tournament as well. So before playing Olympics, so yeah.
Uh, when I see this year, fantastic starts, two back-to-back finals. Matthias and Gopi, I've been speaking to them very regularly. Both of them say that on your day, no one can beat you all. You know, any particular aspect of the game, because clearly your defenses have improved. Attacking game you'll always have. Any particular thing that you all want to focus on, Chirag, going forward?
Um, I think learning is an ongoing process, and I think for us, I feel obviously we have become a lot better in our defense, but we like if you compare it to the best, like the Koreans for that matter, or the Malaysians, we may not be up there, and like we wouldn't want to be as good in the defense as they are because our game is not completely defensive. Then but we want to obviously better our defense as well because you need to have different facets to your game as well, not just play all in attack. We want to always be on the attack, but we need to have a solid defense as well. So yeah, like I said, it's an ongoing process. But apart from that, I think um, in the past couple of tournaments we've been consistent. So I think we want to keep that, but hopefully want to turn that finals into wins as well. So yeah, I think learning, like I said, is an ongoing process, and probably defense is one of the major things that we want to still be better at.
Satvik, when I speak to anyone, I mean, in any sport, so for example, take cricket, when I used to talk to a Sachin or a Rohit or anybody, and ahead of an India Pakistan game, and they would say, oh, you know what, it's just another game. And I would laugh at Sachin and say, no, it's not another game. It's India Pakistan. Agree. So when I say to anybody, I mean one of the greats of any sport, that oh, you know what, it's the Olympics. No, no, it's just another tournament. We will play like the way it is. It is not another tournament. It is the Olympics. So is that a way to deflect pressure? Because when you play in, for example, All England only in Birmingham, maybe one of our representatives and one or two Indian media, maybe not even that, will be there. But come the Paris Olympics, there will be at least 100 Indian media, including ourselves, six, seven of us. So does that sort of make an impact that oh you have that added build up, that added pressure, that added responsibility, the country is glued, television audience is watching. How do you reconcile with the Olympics, for example?
Uh, I mean, yeah. Before when we played the first Olympics in 2021, then uh, I enjoyed being there in the present, not thinking about future. अगर मैं जीता तो क्या हो जाएगा? मेरा life बदल जाएगा या it will be same. So I wasn't thinking all these things. I was there enjoying like I was wondering आज किसको मिलेंगे dinner table में कौन मिलेगा. So this player I was watching Djokovic. अरे how like I was sitting beside Djokovic. I was feeling like world का best athlete का बगल में बैठा हूँ. So I was enjoying that present moment and I switched off all my social media thing. I was not aware of what is going outside the village. I know only what is going inside the village. So बाहर क्या हो रहा है? I don't know anything. Like if we win, I know people will be saying medal आ गया. So all these things maybe for few people it will affect at somehow. For me, like we got adjust to that. We played big things. Asian Games finals was very big thing for us. I mean, we couldn't sleep before night. So that was something I thought like by कल final से सो जा भाई at least 2 घंटे तो सो जा. At least match, at least we have to give at least whatever you can do that. So before going this like into the Olympics also, I was wondering like नीरज भाई को मिल सकते हैं, शरद भाई आएगा. So all like we can meet all the athletes and we can share all the things. They will say their inputs. So like I'm always excited for all these games, especially. So Asian Games में we were not there in our room. We were there in someone else's room. I was there with Srijesh Bhaiya. He was telling all his good things. We are making fun of others. So that makes really special. I take it in so much of positive way. I'll get a chance to meet all the athletes. Okay, I can compare. Okay, इतना strong बनना है, ये होना है. So it gives motivation as well. So there is two sides. If you take it in positive way, you will play your 100%. If you think like मैं जीतना ही है, मैं बाहर नहीं जाना है, यही करना है, वो then maybe for few people it may work, but for me, I think I take it in a lot of positive way.
Beautiful answer. Beautiful answer. And by the way, all the athletes you mentioned, Neeraj is part of the Trailblazers conclave. Shrijesh is, Mary is, Dikhat is, and a lot of the others are. We will miss you physically, but this is more important. And of course, during the Olympics, we will all be there to support. Chirag, the fact that you all played Tokyo, you all beat that Chinese Taipei pair 27-25, they went on to win. You all have the experience of Olympic stage. You all know what the pressure is like. Does that help? Second Olympics?
Obviously, in a way, it does. Like we know what a grand event it is, and like you said, if people say that it's just another tournament, but obviously the pressure is quite different in the big events like the Olympics, the Asian Games, the Commonwealth Games, the World Championships, and everything. And but it's how you handle the pressure in those events that what truly matters. And I think what we did well at the Asian Games was that like Satvik said, we didn't really think a lot about that. We were just so positive. Even if there were adversities, we were just so positive about it, and we didn't really think about the occasion and the magnanimity of the place, like the event. We just wanted to go out there and give our best, and we didn't really think a lot about the opposition, like what. Yeah, obviously we did sit and analyze our opposition also, but the main focus was on how well we will play, and like what's our goal, and that is to actually play at our best, and that's what we did. And I think for the Olympics too, we would want to give our best. I think if we both know for a fact that if we can give our best and be anywhere close to our best, then there are very few pairs who can beat us or challenge us. So I think that's what is important. That is to actually play anywhere close to our best. That's our goal.
So when you say pressure, Chirag, you said pressure and how you deal with pressure. So how do you guys deal with pressure? I mean, is it listening to music, going to someone's room, having food, enjoying, not thinking too much? Like Sachin would listen to music ahead of an India Park game, not speak to a single person, had that bowl of ice cream ahead of Centurion. Every athlete is different. I mean, every great athlete, and you guys are on the cusp of greatness. Every great athlete is different. What is your way and Satvik's way?
Okay, good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. Time to restart after an absolutely incredible morning. I know it's very intense and very packed, but that's the whole point, right? I mean, sport is intense, and sport demands a certain amount of intensity from all of us. We start the post-lunch session with an incredible session with 5 fantastic speakers. We call it Chasing the Paralympic Dream. And let me start introducing the panel before I invite my colleague Rohan Chaudhary on stage to sort of host it with me. Christina Scott, High Commissioner, UK High Commissioner in India. If there's one country which has taken Paralympics seriously, and if there's one country that's sort of set a benchmark for equality and sensitivity, it's the United Kingdom. Having been a student there at the University of Oxford for several years, and doing my PhD and then teaching in multiple universities, I've had the experience of seeing it myself and imbibed quite a lot, and we've learned. So I'm extremely delighted that the High Commissioner and the Deputy High Commissioner Andrew Fleming are both here to be a part of this panel while Christina will speak, Andrew will felicitate. So thank you very much, Christina, for flying in, and thank you very much for being with us. We will call all our panelists on stage. And the others, all world champions, all Paralympic champions, multiple accolades. And let me call one by one. Just last week, one video went viral. If you switch on your mobile phones and you search Suhas Yathiraj, you will see he gets the last point against an opponent he had lost in Tokyo. And there starts the run, which was as fast as Usain Bolt, and then he goes and he embraces his coach, Gaurav Khanna. Ladies and gentlemen, put your hands together for world champion and a very, very close friend of mine, Suhas Yathiraj. Christina, may I have you on stage, please? Christina Scott, ladies and gentlemen, put your hands together for Christina Scott, High Commissioner of the United Kingdom in India. Gaurav Khanna, so many world champions from his stable, from his academy. Someone I speak to on a regular basis, he tells me that 11 badminton medals are an absolute reality from the Paris Paralympics. Ladies and gentlemen, Padma Shri Gaurav Khanna. We've heard from her some time back in the morning about pressure, one of the most articulate, a very, very close friend of mine, multiple world medals. Put your hands together for Manasi Joshi. And last but not the least, just again world champion last week. So many world titles to his name. He set an absolute benchmark in terms of achievement in the Paralympic domain from the state of Odisha, which is seeing a revolution underway. Put your hands together for Pramod Bhagat. And my dear friend, Rohan Chaudhary, who I'm very, very pleased has taken to Paralympic sport, covered the Para-Asian Games in China. Rohan, can we have you on stage, please, to host this panel with myself? Thank you very much, and let's get going. So why don't you go first? I keep going. Let me start with Christine, and then you take over.
Sure.
This whole story about equality and sensitivity, Christina, it defines us as to who we are, right? And in the United Kingdom, this has been part of your DNA. The way the Paralympic athletes have been celebrated, the narrative around Paralympic sport, Team GB, makes me feel that it's absolutely integral to society. How important is it for you?
It's really important. It's really important in the UK, and it's been important since the Paralympics started in the UK in 1948 after the Second World War. And it was started as a way to rehabilitate and give meaning and focus to young men who had given so much during the Second World War. And it's something that we are so proud to have supported since its inception 78 years ago. We were particularly proud that London Olympics in 2012 put the Paralympics right at the heart, and we filled the stadiums in London, and it's been fantastic achievement to really inspire people, not just those who are differently abled, but also all young people in the UK who were motivated and inspired by the incredible achievements of the Paralympic athletes.
I had the fortune of covering the London Paralympic Games, and since then I've been sort of taken, and this year in Paris our whole team will be there. So what you say resonates, and we've learned quite a few things from there. We've actually taken a lot of lessons from London. Hopefully for the 2036 bid we will use all of them. Rohan, why don't you go?
Thank you so much, and fantastic words from ma'am. But I'll start with Mansi, one of my very favorite athletes. We met in Hangzhou. We had a lovely chat over there. But building on that, when I was reading about you and your achievements and awards, so many awards, you have been named the most influential women athletes in Time magazine, in the BBC Awards also. For the first para athlete to be featured in the Time magazine. So all these awards and achievements actually increase a lot more pressure and expectations on you also. So how do you deal with that one?
Dealing with pressure.
I think, thank you for your question, but I think all these things which you have mentioned, these are recognitions that I've got, which I feel really honored to play a sport that I love to do. Whatever has come after it is something that I really cherish, but I'm not working towards that. I'm not working towards to be on any magazine cover or anything. My ambition is just to play the sport. So that is why even in the morning I just said, okay, pressure is something which I don't take when I play the sport, because I play the sport, I enjoy the sport, and the sport is the reason which has taken me out of so many hard and dark days. So I think whatever and how much ever I'm able to do is something which I really cherish. So I don't take any pressure in getting any recognition or no. I put in my 100% in the things that I love to do.
But tell me something, when you did not go to Tokyo, you mean to say you did not feel the pressure that I have to deliver? In my own eyes, this was a benchmark that I had set for myself. Because all of us have our own benchmarks and we put ourselves under pressure. How do you deal with disappointment? How do you deal with something that you wanted to do very badly but you weren't able to do?
So when I started playing the sport, my sport was not a part of Paralympic Games at all. Badminton got introduced in Paralympics in 2020 in Tokyo. My event as a singles player is going to be introduced for the first time at Paris, where of course it is disheartening to know that something which you worked for, something which you wanted to go for, it was Tokyo at that time. I was definitely disheartened. But then I have been through so many losses in my life. I don't think this one incident is going to take me one step down. Instead, I thought maybe I'll take another few. It's just 3 years away, the next Paralympic Games, and I'll work towards it. And that's what I did. I have now, after the Tokyo, after 2021, where Tokyo happened and Pramod won a gold medal and Suhas Bhaiya won a silver, immediately after that, I became a world #1 in my singles category in 2022, and that was on Women's Day. So I mean, I was very happy to be a world #1 after Tokyo. Right now, I'm #4 in Race to Paris, and I'm hoping to make a cut, and time will tell how things are going to be in future.
Fantastic words from Mansi. Sir, coming to you, a few days back also we did an interaction with you, Gaurav sir. You have coached almost all of the athletes in para-badminton circuit in India. You have produced so many champions. But can you go back in time and give a few snippets on when you first met Pramodji or Suhasji, the first days?
Hi, good afternoon everyone. Basically, as soon as previously I was the head national coach of Indian Deaf team, and in 2015 I have been officially deputed by Sports Authority of India as head coach for Indian para badminton team. And that time, the first time when there was a camp for 2015 World Championship in UK, that camp happened in Sai Gandhinagar, Gujarat. That time I met all these superheroes for the first time. Of course, Mansi was a part of that camp, Pramod was a part, and rest others also. But what I realized as head national coach, the things were not very, very good. And of course, there was no structure available for an athletes to start from a grassroots level and to reach to an international level. So the challenge in front of me was not only to just train the athletes, but also create an ecosystem, a structure where the grassroots athlete can participate in local level competitions. There should be a common base where the athletes can train together in a professional setup. And of course, a challenge when the athlete can get a free flow to participate in international competitions. So based on these three structures, I started working upon, and we made a joint base in Lucknow and stayed there together. Everyone was there, and there was a hard time, but together we were just marching on, and our athletes contributed, and that's why we have started delivering performance, and slowly the sponsors have started coming in. We have started searching talents, and that was the result that happened in Tokyo Paralympics. Even in COVID times, we could manage to continue our training. So slowly, whatever the gaps were required, not only as a coach, but as a guardian to the fraternity, I did my best, and I think that has resulted in a better way.
So do you see an ecosystem now? How many junior athletes are now in the system?
Frankly speaking, I would definitely come back to the dream, the basic topic of this conclave, the dream for
Chasing the
Paralympic dream. So I would definitely mention here that it's no more a dream for players like Mansi, players like Pramod, players like Suhas, because they have already achieved so, and those who are they are very near to that. So it can be termed as a short-term target for them, I would say. However, even for the second line, I would say it's a mid-term target because these guys have created a inspiration to others. So that's why these guys have already proved that it is a achievable target. But I would definitely mention this is the right time we all should focus about 2036. What would be the age of these para athletes in 2036 when India would be hosting Paralympics in the country? My main issue is, dream is it for those who are staying in our remote areas? And I would tell you how those athletes would get a structure, how would they get the ecosystem, how would they get to know what is para sports, which sports they need to choose. I'll tell you a real story. Instagram से I got a contact call कि हमारी लड़की आपके पास खेलना चाहती है. Girl was 10 years old and एक बीमारी होती है जिसमें हड्डियाँ छोटी होती हैं और you need to stretch it on to make it bigger and to reach to the limb level of both sides. That girl came to my academy because I'm looking for a talent hunt program, and fortunately I need to thank my friend, and my friend is also helping me to look for youngsters for future Olympians. So that girl came and they stayed with me for some time. After some time, that girl was crying and their parents came. There was a big issue involved, and afterwards the reason was only the psychological factor. एक लड़की जो घर में पैदा हुई है, which has taken birth in a family, and the relatives and everyone were treating that girl as a bechari, means poor child. The family is poor. What is her future? How would she continue her studies? How would we maintain her career? At least she should know how to cook food so that they can manage their marriage. That was the target, and suddenly she has come to a professional structure, training for badminton. But after coming here, the parents told that, sir, we did a mistake because staying here may not be a guarantee for her education, may not be a guarantee for her future. So the concern is we need to have youngsters because we have to work on their fundamentals. We have to work for them to provide them the structure and to let them physically and mentally prepared for future level professional competitions. So my concern is that to achieve that dream, the government and all structures, clubs, everyone has to come front, corporate has to come front and do the needful.
I like Gaurav because when and I like the passion, and he very confidently said, when we host the Paralympics in 2036, we are not hosts yet. We are not hosts yet. It's quite a dream that India will. Yes, the Prime Minister has made the point, but there are multiple other countries and plenty to go. But I love the passion. Christina, what does this say before I go to Suhas and Pramod? The fact that India all of a sudden, 4 medals in Rio, 19 in Tokyo, 111 at the Asian Para Games, what does this say to you of a society? So when I see a Manasi Joshi, I see a Suhas, I see a Pramod, and I'm like, I can also be like them. This is life. It is no longer a life of discrimination. What does that tell you of a society?
It tells me that society is changing. It's telling me that it's getting more inclusive. It's telling me it's still got some way to go because you've got 1.3 billion people. I hear what our colleagues are saying about grassroots investment, and that is going to be so important wherever the Olympics is taking place in 2036. It'd be great if it was here in India. But I think, it's been a long journey for us. If you go back through the Paralympics, we weren't really getting the results on the medal tables we wanted, and it wasn't until we really shifted the funding structures, both at grassroots but also at elite level, that we started to see the success. And for us, the 2012 Olympics was the real catapult for that. We came top in the medals table, and we've been second in the last 2 Paralympics. We want India to challenge us on that record. We're sure you will. Looking at the talent, incredible talent on this platform, but it tells me it's an incredibly exciting moment for sport in India, and I wish you all the best as you take forward this incredible journey.
Fantastic words again, Suhasji. My next question to you, a very personal one. I'm a student myself also. In your student career, you did engineering from NIT. You cracked the toughest exam in India. You are an IAS officer and also a world champion in your sport. So my question is time balance and work-life balance. How did you manage that?
So, Suhas, before you answer, just so you guys know, during COVID, this man used to do his day job as an IAS officer till midnight. He would take care of people in Delhi and that area in Gurugram till midnight. They do his job as the district magistrate of Noida, right? DM of Noida, and then come home and train between 1 a.m. and 3:30 a.m. That was Suhas Yathiraj going into the Paralympic Games. Go for you.
So, firstly, thanks a lot to Boria for inviting all of us to Kolkata, because Kolkata and sports are synonymous. Growing up, we used to watch Eden Gardens and all the soccer, and it's a pleasure to be here. So, thanks for all the energy, and after that, after our decent performance in World Championships, we have promised ourselves that we'll have that mishti, that all the sweets, special sweets. So, now, coming to the point that you were making from computer engineering, IAS, and being a Paralympic medalist and the journey, life is a journey. If I tell you, or if I were to ask you to look back, what did you think where you would be 20 years afterwards when you were 20 years younger? You would probably not know that you would have made it so far in life. So I think most of us are like that. The journey of life takes us to places where we have never imagined. In fact, I remember the days when I used to study in a local village school. I was denied an seat in English medium school because I started my studies in village. Here I am speaking to an intellectual audience in intellectual city of this country in English. So that is how destiny is. So, and then I think our dreams are limited by the horizons that we can imagine. For example, if a person who is studying, for him to get into the best job, that will be his dream. Like Gaurav sir said, a person who is starting in sport, for him the dream would be to somehow achieve something in World Championship. In fact, I remember when I went to China for the first time, when he told there is I'll tell you a small story in 1 minute, 60 seconds. Gaurav sir came to Azamgarh, where I was posted as district magistrate, and he saw me playing with able-bodied players, and he told, why don't you try para-badminton? I told, "Arey nahi, ye sab kaha hai?" And one fine day, after many months, I gave him a call. He told, okay, chalo, we will start this journey. After 3 months, there is Asian para-badminton championships in Beijing, November. So we start training, and when we land in Beijing, it is November 21, I still remember the butterflies in my stomach, and all I wanted to do was at least win one match. I did not tell everyone at home also. At home they knew, but nobody else knew that I have gone there to play, because I was expecting that I'll probably, if I lose and come, I'll just say, okay, मैं गया था, मैं हार के आ गया. First match I was about to lose, but somehow I ended up winning, and from there I won 7 matches and ended up becoming the first unseeded player to win gold medal in Beijing. So, what I'm trying to say is, you cannot plan everything. There are some things which you can plan, for which we all should try our level best, and there are certain things that are not under our control. Like you were asking Satvik and Chirag Boria about handling pressure. One thing I say to myself is, whether in life or in sports or in studies, we should not be bothered about things that we cannot control. So if you probably come at peace with that, so journey becomes that much more easier and happier. So that's what I would say.
I take fantastic words. Fantastic words are so inspiring, and a lot of my friends are also here over there who are studying still now, so they will be inspired. My last question to Pramodji.
How can it be your last question? We've got many more questions to go. No last question.
In this round.
Yes, in this round, live. I'll give you a Pele story on that, your question.
Absolutely. So Pramodji, one question. You have had a long career. You first won your first World Championship in 2013 in Dortmund. 2009, okay, and 2024 you won another one, World Championship. So what's the mantra of this longevity?
सही में ये बहुत लॉन्ग जर्नी है, क्योंकि मैं आई थिंक मैं मोर देन 20 ईयर पैरामिलिट्री में खेल चुका हूँ, क्योंकि मैं 2005 में शुरू किया था खेलना और आज 2024 है, तो आई थिंक 19 ईयर, कुछ महीनों बाद मैं मेरा आई थिंक 25 में 10 साल या 20 साल का कैरियर हो जाए पैरामिलिट्री में। और मैंने बहुत चीज़ देखे हैं स्टार्टिंग से। अगर मैं बोलूँ तो मैंने पैरामिलिट्री कैसे ग्रोथ हुआ, कहाँ से चालू हुआ, क्या हो रहा था, अब क्या हो रहा है, तो डेफिनेटली इसमें ज़मीन आसमान का फ़र्क है। और अकॉर्डिंग ऑफ सिचुएशन, जैसे सुहास भैया ने कहा अभी कि हम कोई प्लानिंग नहीं करते कभी भी, हम जस्ट ट्राई करते हैं और वो एग्जीक्यूशन होते जाता है और फाइनली हम विन होते हैं। जैसे सुहास भैया ने कहा 7 मैचेस, पहली बार हमने भी सुहास भैया को देखा था खेलते समय, तो हम जस्ट सुने थे कि कोई है जो IS है, वो आ रहे हैं खेलने के लिए, तो हमारा भी ओपिनियन यही था, जो इनका तो थॉट था, हमारा ओपिनियन था, वो ऐसी बिजी सेट स्केड्यूल में होंगे, वो क्या खेलेंगे, वो आएंगे जस्ट ट्राई कर रहे हैं पैरा में देखने के बाद जस्ट क्या होता है। उनके बाद सेकेंड टाइम उनका थॉट ये आएगा, बट हम सब ने जब देखा तो हम शॉक्ड हो गए कि अरे वाह, इतने बिजी स्केड्यूल में वो आके इतना अपने आप को एग्जीक्यूशन दे के, और पहला बार आके पहली बार एशियन चैंपियनशिप में अनबीटेबल होके गोल्ड लेना एक अपने आप में बहुत बड़ी बात है। तो डेफिनेटली जब मैंने चालू किया था तब मेरा थॉट भी सेम था, बट मेरा थॉट जब मैंने भी खेला तो आई थिंक मैं 18 ईयर का था जब मैंने 2005 में खेला, तब ऑल इंडिया सुपर 6 टूर्नामेंट उड़ीसा में ऑर्गेनाइज किया गया था, वहाँ पर मैं पहली बार सिंगल डबल दोनों में चैंपियन वाला। तब मेरा थॉट अलग था, मैं भी जैसे भैया खेलते तो वैसे मैं भी नॉर्मल एथलीट के साथ खेलता था, बट भैया एज ए प्रैक्टिस करते थे उनके साथ उनका एक मतलब एज ए मैक्सिमम टाइम ये ऑफिस में बिताते तो उनको एक फिजिकल एक्टिविटीज़ के लिए और माइंड फ्रेश के लिए आई थिंक इन्होंने स्टार्ट किया था, तब जाके इन्होंने एज ए प्रोफेशनल किया। बट मैं जब शुरू से स्टार्ट किया तब से मैं एज ए डिस्ट्रिक्ट में ओपन टूर्नामेंट्स खेलना स्टार्ट किया और वहाँ पर नॉर्मल के साथ कम्पीट करता था। तो उसके बाद जब मुझे पैरा का अपॉर्चुनिटी मिला तो मेरा थॉट था डेफिनेटली मैं बेस्ट करूँगा, और जब हमारा थॉट रहता है कि हम बेस्ट करेंगे तो हम बेस्ट ही करते हैं। तो स्टार्टिंग में मुझे अच्छा अपकमिंग मिला। उसके बाद 2005 के बाद मेरा सबसे बड़ा पहला एशियन गेम बोल सकते हैं, तब पैरा में एशियन गेम नहीं हुआ करते, स्पेसिफिक गेम्स होते थे। 2006 कोलालमपुर मलेशिया में ऑर्गेनाइज किया था, तो मैंने पहली बार तब खेला था जब एशियन गेम नाम नहीं था, पैरा एशियन गेम भी नहीं था, तब स्पेसिफिक गेम्स था। तो तब से मैंने चालू किया। डेफिनेटली आप जब एक बड़े मंच पे खेलते हैं तो आप पे, क्योंकि एज ए मैं यंगेस्ट था तो मेरे पे थोड़ा प्रेशर भी था, और मेरे इतने प्रेशर में मैं जब टूर्नामेंट खेलने गया तब मैं मतलब अच्छा खेला, बट मैं क्वार्टर फाइनल में क्विट
Boria,
किया था।
with your permission, I'll tell 2 things about Pramod that we all should learn. One, because we travel as a team, I have seen many of his matches. Number of times he has won from 19, 16 down. Opponent is 19, he's 16. Opponent is 20, he's 15. The way he maintains composure under pressure, and in Paralympics, in Asian Para Games, when the world is seeing, that is a thing that we all should learn. And second, on a lighter note, you can see him and make out. The amount of dieting that he does, I have never seen him eat a plate of full meal. The amount of control he has over his nutrition. He is very strict with his nutrition. That is thing that every one of us should learn.
Okay,
Composure, nutrition.
So Pramod, quick answer, because I'll take a next round. When he said 2015, 2016, and you how? So the question is how? And will you eat mishti today?
एक्चुअली मैंने इससे पहले कहा था कि मेरा थॉट हर वक्त यही रहता है कि आई एम द बेस्ट, जो मैंने आगे वाले सेशन में बताया था। तो वही थॉट मेरा जनरेट होता है जब मैं डाउन रहता हूँ और ओपोनेंट लीडिंग रहते हैं, तब मेरा थॉट यही रहता है कि आई कैन डू इट, मैं कर सकता हूँ। और जैसे कि मिल्खा सिंह जो मूवी है उसमें बोला गया था कि मिल्खा सिंह एक नेचुरल बिल्डअप था, नेचुरल एथलीट था। सेम थॉट, मैं भी नेचुरल बिल्डअप हूँ, मेरा माइंडसेट भी नेचुरली डेवलप हुआ है और मेरा हर कुछ चीज़ नेचुरल होता है। मैं कभी ऐसा थॉट नहीं है कि जैसे भैया ने कहा डाइट प्लानिंग, मैं नेचुरली ऐसे खाता हूँ, मेरा डाइट प्लान नेचुरली ऐसा है। तो मेरे डाइटिशियन भी कभी कभी रहता है तो वही बोलते हैं आप इतना अच्छा मेंटेन करते हैं, हमने किसी एथलीट को नहीं देखा, हमको फोर्सफुली करना पड़ता है। मेरे साथ भी फोर्सफुली होता है बट एज ए सप्लीमेंट ये सब के लिए, क्योंकि मैं ज़्यादातर बहुत कम यूज़ करता हूँ ये सब चीज़ें। तो मेरा मानना यही है कि आप जितना पीसफुल रहेंगे, जितना फ्रीक्वेंट माइंड को खेलेंगे, उतना अपना बेस्ट देंगे। क्योंकि हर एक मूवी का एक स्लोगन होता है, जैसे चक दे इंडिया में था, जाओ ये 60 मिनट तुम्हारा है, तुम खेल लो। तो सेम थॉट मेरा भी यही होता है कि आज का मैच मेरा है, मुझे खेलना है खाली।
मुझे ट्रांसलेट करने दीजिए फॉर क्रिस्टीना। सो क्रिस्टीना, व्हाट ही सेइंग इज व्हेन ही इज 2016 डाउन और 2015 डाउन, ही गेव द एग्जांपल ऑफ अ फेमस बॉलीवुड मूवी चक दे इंडिया बाय शाहरुख खान, where Shahrukh tells his women's hockey team that this is your forum, go and just do it. And he says whenever he's down, he tells himself, this is my match, I need to go and win. And he also said that everything comes naturally to him. So today the sweets will also come naturally to him. We'll get him to eat the mishti. Is that correct, Pramod ji?
The conclave would be declared a success if Boria can get Pramod to eat mishti today.
Okay, in front of the audience, on stage, mishti doi. Can we arrange that at the end of this panel? Let's get that done, one spoon. And Suhas will feed Pramod. We'll take a photograph, but Rohan, go for it.
Fantastic. Pramodji, you should try the mishti doi here. And Mansi, coming to you.
एक्चुअली बेसिकली मेरी सिस्टर जो है वो कोलकाता बेस्ड है और हमारे जो जीजा जी हैं वो हमें ईयरली मैक्सिमम टाइम वो मिष्टी दही जो मटके में होता है वो भेजते हैं और बहुत डिलीशियस है। क्योंकि वो जब हम घर पे रहते हैं तो बेसिकली हमारा डिमांड यही होता है कि वो मिष्टी दही हमें भेजिए और हमें खाना है, तो मैक्सिमम टाइम वो भेजते हैं। तो डेफिनेटली वो बहुत ही डिलीशियस है और आई थिंक मैं आया हूँ तो मैं उसको चखना चाहूँगा।
Fantastic, fantastic. Mansi, coming to you. In Hangzhou, I asked you one question about women's empowerment and parasport, and you told that if you were given the chance, you could talk about it for an hour. We don't have an hour, but would you please like to share a few words on that, women empowerment and parasports, and also how are you looking forward to that podium finish in Paris?
About women in sports.
Women's empowerment, which you said an hour. So if you still want to share something that...
No, I think, sir, your conclave here is very inclusive, and having women speakers with disability, without disabilities, and top athletes, I think this is the example of empowerment and inclusion and diversity. And as a true DEI, I just love to talk about DEI, diversity, equity, and inclusion. And I really feel that, as I don't think that it is because we require diversity and inclusion. I think it should be ingrained in our society, and still we have to, there are times when we have to sit in forum and talk about कि हमको inclusion चाहिए. I think वहाँ से हमें पहुँच कर आना चाहिए कि what should we do as a society to make things more inclusive for people. I think why why we have to speak up about these issues are because inventions have not happened for people without disabilities. So if an invention of a cycle has happened, that invention sometimes never catered to people who were paralyzed. It took them so many years to devise a wheelchair, which is just as good as which is just a cycle for people who want to use a wheelchair. And this kind of division sometimes happens. And I think I want to talk about these things, especially to the innovators and inventors. Make your inventions more disabled friendly. I still know that there are few of my friends with blindness who previously there was this payment system, right? The payment system में पहले तो हम card swipe कर देते थे, but right now we have to insert our card and put a pin. And after this round, now the newest innovation is jumbled pins. Jumbled pins with people with blindness is so difficult in the sense that whoever innovated did not think of all the data sets and all the use cases. So I think as a society, definitely we are growing, but then we are not considering each and every one. As a woman, I mean, we are talking here about women in sports and how important it is. But then it should be like that, right? 50% of population of the world playing a sport, living their life, giving their 100% in whatever they are doing. I think I'm happy that we are definitely having this discussion, but we need to have more such discussion, making sure that we never have to have discussion. I just wrote one tweet a few days back saying, don't celebrate us, pay us. It's like, I mean, we definitely have these kind of, where we say, okay, let us celebrate more people with disabilities. Let us celebrate women. We have discussions of women empowerment on Women's Day. We have discussion about inclusion on Disability Day. And many times in organization, diversity ends at gender. Why? We as a society everybody has some or the other problem, not problem I'll say, we all are unique in our own ways. And having a society which make sure that everybody gets included. I think these are the reasons why we have such discussion, we have such conclaves. We talk about sports, we talk about inclusion of sports, inclusion in sports. And sports is not something for just the youngsters, right? Sports is for everyone to experience, right from a child to a person with or without disability to somebody who is in their 40s, 50s, 60s, 70s. I think right now, when we speak about issues related, people having back issues, people having sedentary lifestyle, where access, after having so much of discussion, I think access is not something that we have to talk about. Now it is definitely ingrained in the society ke bhai access to infrastructure to hai hi. But what is happening in terms of disability rights is we need more and more such conversations. So I think, yeah, I mean, as I said, I can talk a lot on this topic, but yeah, I mean, thank you for giving a forum to speak up about not only disability and inclusion of women in sports or inclusion. I think, thank you for having all of us on this forum.
Thank you so much, Mansi. Gaurav sir, one thing, Paris is a few months ahead, and we are talking about touching the 35 medals rank. I would want to hear a number from you, and what can badminton give us?
Before Gaurav sir hears, Gaurav sir tells one fact about Gaurav sir that I should place before the audience. In Tokyo 2021, in Paralympics, India won 19 medals, 17 athletes from Indian contingent, 1 medal. 4 from para badminton, 1 medals out of 17. 25% of Indian medals was from para badminton contingent. Here is a person who is literally instrumental in 25% of all the medals that Tokyo 2021 medalists got. So, yes, please, aap batayega.
Of course, they are my wonderful athletes, and look at the confidence level, because without this confidence, this figure cannot be achieved. So first of all, congratulate and clap for these athletes. And adding to what Mansi has said and Boria sir's question about inclusivity, just to tell you, this last Tokyo Paralympics, India was represented by 2 women and 5 men, and there were 4 medals from men's side. And this time I can proudly declare, with the athletes like Manasi in our team, there would be minimum 6 women, and they have made their position on their own efforts. So just clap to them. And no doubt, there can be a good competition between my female athletes and male athletes, and they would all together bring more and more medal for the country, and maybe women will lead this time. Just my wishes with my women team also.
You know,
this is one.
Secondly, yes, go for it. Boliye.
Shall I continue? So your question about the medal winning performance, already Suhas has told about the figure, but I have a very critical point to mention here with all the corporates who have been sitting here, or Boria, by your connection or through this forum, that we cannot only expect from our government of India, our Prime Minister, and all our leaders to do everything for us. We are living in a country having other issues as well, like employment, malnutrition, poverty, and so much of that. So their government cannot invest everything on para sports or in sports in particular. We are definitely doing well and coming up as the strongest sporting nation. However, the role of corporate is very, very essential to help us to grow, to make a good future, to make more Paralympians in 2028, 2032, and 2036 Olympics. So corporates' involvement is very much essential to nurture an athletes which is at the remote area of the country. This is one. Coming back to your question, yes, Suhas has rightly mentioned the figure from para badminton. We are going to triple the number of medal tallies in coming Paris Olympics. And I believe, again, in Asian Games, the Nara was up ki bar, 100 par. So I believe God should be kind to us, and with your blessings, the Nara should have been for Paris Olympics, up ki bar, 50 par.
Brilliant. So we were talking about women's empowerment. He's just said how important that is. Let's just put some facts on record. India won 107 medals at the Asian Games and 111 at the Asian Para Games, right? Out of the 107 medals, do we know the division, men and women? Anyone from the audience? 54 women, 53 men. 54 women, 53 men. By the way, this is not something I'm making up. I was just seeing the poster there. Just do a count. How many women, how many men? 6. We didn't do it. They achieved it. Look at that. Sania Mirza, Savita Punia, Manasi Joshi, Anju George, Mary Kom, Nikhat Zareen, 6 men. Tomorrow all day, International Women's Day, we celebrate women's empowerment with the very best women athletes here. And by the way, it's not women for women. That's the worst. Feminism has to be led by men. We are as much part of that story. We are as much stakeholders of that story. Unless we step up, women's sport cannot be covered by women. Women's Premier League is not to be covered by just women. Manasi Joshi's story cannot be reported by women reporters. That's where the change has to happen. We, the men, need to take that lead. Let's start it here. My final point, when you talk about the Indian cricket team, which is winning against England today, Christina, sorry about that, but we've won the series 3-1. So when we talk about the Indian cricket team, the team led by Rohit Sharma, what do you say? You say the Indian cricket team. When you talk about the team led by Harmanpreet Kaur, what do you say? You say the Indian women's cricket team. Why is it not the Indian cricket team? It is the Indian cricket team, ladies and gentlemen, or call it the Indian men's cricket team. These things need to be changed in our society. On that note, chasing the Paralympic dream, put your hands together for Manasi Joshi, Gaurav Khanna, Suhas Yathiraj, Pramod Bhagat, Christina Scott, and of course my colleague Rohan Chaudhary. Can we please have Andrew Fleming and Kaustubh Jha. Kaustubh, do we have you here? Yes, we'll get that. Andrew Fleming to come up on stage and felicitate all our panelists. And we've also got the Mishti Doi for Suhas Yathiraj to feed Pramod Bhagat, a spoon of it. So we've got the Mishti Doi. That's the final act of this particular panel. Give it to me. Mishti Doi. Anil Singh has put his hand up for Mishti Doi. We'll give him as part of the next panel. चलो 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 चिंता करो चिंता करो So Suhas, the job is done. Mishti Doi, microphone is yours. Mishti Doi is done.
Mishti Doi is done, and let me tell you one short thing about Boria, the way he presents and the way he creates crescendos. I've always been a fan since my college days of Boria, and again, I have become, it's a fan movement for me. Thank you. Thanks, Boria, for having us.
And if we could have Andrew stand with all of my speakers coming in front, Rohan stand with them for a photo op. Christina, can we all take a photograph together? Yeah. Mansi, aap beech mein jaiye. So let's, Rohan, now, let's all stand together. Yeah. Okay, so after chasing the Paralympic dream, time to move on, and we are talking about micro stories here. People who have actually brought about change, breaking ground, new sports narratives. And to talk about breaking ground, new sports narratives, let me welcome on stage, you've heard him, macro perspective from him. Ladies and gentlemen, put your hands together for Rahul Bose. May I please welcome on stage the greatest squash player India has produced, and someone who I will now ask if he will stay on for the 2028 Games, Saurav Ghoshal. Can we please have on stage the man who's revolutionized the running scene in India? Now we have a marathon every second day. When he started out doing this, the revolution, there was no culture, no tradition, nothing. Please can we have on stage Anil Singh. Again, the company that has made a lot to Indian sport, contributed a lot to Indian sport, given us so much to cherish and talk about. Please welcome a very dear friend of mine, Sarvesh Kumar. Can we have... Can we have Saurav Ghoshal and Rahul Bose on stage, please? Rohan, someone from our team? Yes, Saurav's there. Rahul's coming? He's coming from the room? Can someone please get Rahul Bose, and we will start and we'll get Rahul in. Rusho, Bosho. And to moderate this session with me, can we have on stage for this particular session, Ognijit Sen, who I want to introduce here as part of this story. Ogni and I are very dear friends for a long time. We do a show in Bangla called ABC Conversations. And I'm very pleased to say that we have launched Rev Sports Bangla, and Ogni will be joining us fully from the 1st of April, taking over as one of the key faces of Rev Sports Bangla. Can we have Ognijit Sen on stage, please? Thank you very much, Ogni, for joining me. Ideally, yes, and we need one more for Rahul, that's it. Good, and as we said, can we just have ei jagata to clear korte hobe? Ei jagata ekটু clear korte hobe. Just get them to sit down. So my housekeeping announcement again, kindly quieten down. If you do not want to watch or have to take a bio break, feel free. But people who are speaking, there's a lot of intensity. Kindly respect that. Let's get Rahul, but we will start. Anil, why don't you go first? Anil Singh, you go first. Question is, when you started in 2003, you and your brother, we are not a country that is physically active. We are not. And it's not mathematical literacy, yes. Alphabetical literacy, yes. But Shormishta was talking about physical literacy with Gopi in the morning. Can you hear me now? Is an echo?
I think there's a bit of a reflection of sound. So the sound, yes, actually, which is reaching our ears is a bit distorted.
Hello.
Yeah, better.
Hello. Yeah. Can you hear me? Can you hear me? Yeah. Good. Okay. Done. Beautiful. So the question I was asking you, the question I was asking you, in 2003 when you and Vivek started the movement, we are not a physically active country. how big a gamble were you taking, and how did you have this belief that from 2003 to 2024, this revolution would actually happen? Or you just decided, let's give it a shot?
Well, good evening. But it's a wonderful question because I keep asking myself, why did I do this? But it's fascinating. You know, to me, we were invited to London for the London Marathon. And what really grabbed me and what really sort of pushed me to make this happen was there were 50,000 stories on the start line of the London Marathon. To me, life is only about stories. So when you have a conveyor belt of stories, you know, one after the other, there can be nothing more magical to be a part of. And I also, it had many reasons, I also thought that it was critical that one of the great cities of India, like Mumbai, didn't have a marathon. Almost every major city in the world had one. That was the other thing. The third thing is what it did for inclusivity, for society, for wellness, for Indian, and also the showcase of India to the globe in many ways. So these were the very magical pulls that we had, and we said we got to give it a shot. So that was truly the reason. But for me, it was one thing, the ability to tell stories. And I'll tell you one thing, that is something that never ceases, and it just gets more inspirational as you go along.
Yes, absolutely. In fact, so many people on a winter morning, actually, as we see, running, you know, the fact that we are talking about sports and sports beyond cricket and football on this thing is actually a proof of how India is slowly building up towards a fantastic sporting nation. I think a huge round of applause for Trailblazers Conclave 2.0, ladies and gentlemen. We have a large sporting world beyond cricket and football. And on that note, let me come to you, sir. You are the best squash player India has seen. I mean, by far. So what do you think we need to do as a country to put squash on the global map from an Indian perspective?
You know, I think it's important to understand the progress that we have made firstly. You know, I started playing 30 years back. Where we are at right now as a squash playing nation is, you know, leaps and bounds from where we started. Of course, it's coincided with kind of the golden generation that we've had in terms of the players. So, you know, we've had role models who have, you know, done brilliantly on the world stage and inspired a lot of kids and parents in a lot of ways to help their kids, you know, pursue their dream of being squash players. So I think that's something to kind of bank upon and say that we're heading in the right direction. We've come from being, you know, a nation which just participated on the world stage to being extremely competitive. The next kind of level to go up to is to be dominant on the world stage. And for that, if I had to kind of narrow it down into two things or two end products that are required, is at the high end of the top of a pyramid, let's say, you know, you have the high performance role models. We need to create not 2, 3, 4 role models, but more like 10, 15 role models so that, you know, the quantum of achievement is more frequent and is a lot more for people to get inspired a lot more, right? And then at the bottom end of the pyramid, which is the grassroots level, we need to kind of broad base the participation numbers exponentially. We've grown a lot. Again, you know, going back to my first kind of pointer that, you know, we've made a lot of progress. When I started, you know, in the junior kind of categories, there were 16 players playing in like under 11, under 13 kind of thing. And now we have draws of 128 with qualifying of 128. So we've obviously, you know, made a lot of progress, but we need to grow that exponentially so that people having to get into qualifying as well gets a lot more. And with the numbers, it's just mathematical probability that you're going to get more high performance icons coming through. Now, these are the end products. How you get there is to create a high performing, optimal, efficient ecosystem which works round the clock. And in that ecosystem, we have the players who have a responsibility to continue performing at the highest level so that we have these, you know, tokens of achievement on a frequent basis. But there's also the admin side of it and different stakeholders, whether it be the government or the national association or the state associations or corporates, you know, who play a key role in making sure that the environment is in place to have the best coaches, to have the best infrastructure, give the right environment for the talent that we have in this country to flourish and achieve the potential that is there. It's not like we have to, get blood out of a stone. There is a lot of talent. It's just a question of guidance and nurturing the talent in the right and encouraging way. And if that happens, I have no doubt in my mind that we are going to end up being a very, very strong nation in this sport moving forward. It's not going to happen overnight because nothing happens overnight. But over a period of like 5 to 10 years, from a country which is very competitive, we are going to graduate to a dominant superpower in the world of squash, and I think we're seeing that in sport in general in India, and that's a great position to be in as a country, and I hope this lovely trend continues for years to come.
Fabulous words by Saurav Goshala. Big round of applause, ladies and gentlemen. Over to Boriada.
I'll actually ask Sarvesh this, and by the way, welcome Rahul. Someone from Rev Sports should have informed Rahul because we were continuously announcing from stage, and my apologies that no one did. So Trisha, your team needs to just be conscious of the fact that our speakers need to be informed on time. Rahul was waiting in his room. Apologies. Sarvesh, when I see Tata Steel...
The voice is a bit distorted when it's reaching our ears.
Let's try this. Let's try this. 1 second, hold on. Can you hear from this side? Is this better? You need that, take that mic. Give me this. Yeah, take that mic. Hello? Is that okay? Okay, good. So you just take exchange done. For some reason, whatever's happening. So the question I was asking you is, you have options as a corporate which has serious pockets. You have the option, you're investing in cricket. You are part of football, you have the Tata Football Academy. But I also see a lot of new sports where you have serious investment in. I see archery, I see parasport, I see Odisha, so many different projects Tata Steel is part of. How do you see these new sports as part of your vision or your company's vision, Sarvesh Kumar?
Thanks, Boria, for inviting us. So, as you would have heard in the morning session where Chanakya spoke about the fact that we've been kind of pioneer in sport in a way, with our founder being sponsoring the first Olympic contingent. So carrying forward that ethos, our effort has been to promote sports which is outside mainly maybe cricket or some other mainstream sport. And then you see archery and all that. Now carrying forward that legacy, we have been seriously investing in sports like marathon. So in fact, today, the top 3 marathons in the country are run by Tatas. So Calcutta, Bombay, Bangalore. Outside India, we have 5 marathons, London, New York, which is sponsored by TCS. So that is a huge investment. The effort is not only to promote health and fitness in the community that we work with. Second sport, which again carries forward our ethos is sports climbing. So I don't know whether Boria, that we have set up sports climbing institute in Jamshedpur and in Bhubaneswar. And this time, and sports climbing is a Paris Olympic sport. And 2 of our cadets were part of the Asian selection team. Now that is again a spirit of promoting sport which is outside the mainstream. And third interesting part is mountaineering. Our Tata Steel Foundation, we're very proud to say that 12 of our cadets, starting from Vichendipal, have climbed Mount Everest. In fact, the head of Tata Steel Foundation, Tata Adventure Foundation, Hemant Gupta, he's 34-year-old boy, he's climbed Mount Everest. So our huge investment in sports outside mainstream sport is an effort to endeavor to get into areas which has potential, which no other corporate is looking at right now, but we see as a huge potential for a sport as an entity to go forward.
So this is the overall macro picture again. I mean, and fascinating vision from Anil, from Saurav, from Sarvesh. Before Ogni takes it forward, I want to ask Rahul, and this is something I've actually sort of listened to Rahul tell me in the past. Some incredible micro stories, the story of Hupi Maji, the story of Kalyani, and the new narrative there, the new Indian woman, the breaking through of the Indian woman, and the joy that it gives us. Rahul Bose, that's the rugby story for me. When you called me at 6 a.m. in the morning, can you tell my audience one of these two, or one or two of these micro stories?
Well, actually, I think that for me to understand the reality of our players, rugby is played by the poorest of the poor today in the country. And it's played in 322 districts out of 760. 40% of India plays rugby. We don't do a caste census, but if you asked me, I would say it would be very much 40 to 50% tribal, and the rest of it from the very, very most economically depressed classes of the country. 50% women, 50% men, which we are very proud of. But to actually understand what it means for any of them to invest their time on a sport that doesn't give them, now it gives them a little bit of money, I need to go to their homes. So what I do is I take every opportunity to go and visit our players in their hut, which takes about a kilometer of walking from the nearest road, which in any case is a tertiary road. From the main road, it takes another half an hour. That's the reality of India. And what I have unerringly noticed everywhere is that our players hang by a very, very fine thread. And that thread is the goodwill of the village, the belief of their parents for them to do something for a while which is non-serious. Because at 15, 16, the boys will have to work in the fields, or they'll have to get a job somewhere. The girl will get married, probably. So that reality, up close and personal to see it, whether it's Tejas in his village in Panhala, Tejas was a part of the under-20 team that beat Hong Kong. I'm thinking to myself, this boy who comes from this village has been part of a team that's beaten the number 3 team in Asia. How does it work? How do we retain him? So I went to his village, and 600 people were outside. I said, who is coming? They said, no, only you, but nobody's come to our village for 50 years. So then I walked through the village. I felt like a politician. I was holding little children, hugging old people, you know. And then I sat in the temple, which is the largest area. And the little kids in front, the women right at the back, some, you know, muscular, mustachioed types sitting with me as quasi-politicians. And I had to thank the whole village. I spoke to Tejas' parents later and said, how does it feel? And they started crying. They said partly happiness and pride and partly fear. Because if we lose our son, if our son gets injured and he can't look after us, or if I go to a village on the corner of North Bengal and Sikkim where the tea estates are, 14 national players have come from this village, in Saraswatipur. How do you explain that? So when you go there and you go into their hut and you speak and sit with their parents, then you realize in India, it's no point talking about the macro if you're not prepared to do the micro. And the micro means when you build up a nutrition plan for your athletes, the macro says 35 grams of protein, 70 grams of carbohydrate, 12 grams of minerals. But the micro truth is, if you look at every single player in that team, whether they are from Kerala, Haryana, Punjab, Bengal, or Rajasthan, and you examine their diet, one size doesn't fit all. Somebody only eats dairy. Somebody is strictly vegetarian. Somebody eats only fish. Somebody has access to chicken. And yet, none of them have the money to any of this. So essentially, most of our athletes were living on dal chawal. Now you're talking nutrition, at the international level, you want to go beat Hong Kong, you want to make the Olympics. How are you going to even address this if you don't understand what is their nutritional intake in the off season of 6 months? Now do you send them money? You can't, because somebody is not going to reach the kids. How do you send them food? What kind of food do you send? Just to penetrate this issue and to create a culture where food would go took us 3 months. But if you don't do that and you sit with that food chart, you'll sit there for the rest of your life. So the truth and the reason why I've said these stories is because if you want to create macro change in India, you have to focus on the micro.
Brilliant words. I mean, the food chart that you just, told us about, that can actually be, if I may quote it another way, a food for thought. I think for everybody, for all of us on the dais. And I don't know actually how many of you have watched Purna. I watched it, first day, first show. And it's so important to make these kind of films in Hindi so that you can actually, people can go to the movie halls and watch the real-time struggle of our athletes. I mean, the thing that you just explained to us right now. I was thinking in terms of a fabulous film. And the sad part, a lot of sports-centric films are being made in India, but how many of these actually tells us the struggles that you just explained it to us? So, do the way we look at sports films in India need to change in order to, bring about a certain change? Because films... Yeah.
Do sports films?
Yeah.
Look, I mean, I think ultimately the job of a movie is to move you. How you get there, different people have different ways. You use a star, you have a great story, but ultimately the story has to move you in a way that you say, can I do something about this? So, no film is a piece of activism. It is first and foremost a piece of entertainment. If it doesn't entertain, nothing else will happen. It has to first pull you in and engross you. That's the first part. The story of Purna, and we can say that it's a wonderful story. I didn't have to embellish it. But the fact is, when Purna released, nobody saw it. Because there's no star. I cast a little girl to play the tribal 13-year-old girl from Telangana, from Pakala village. And nobody came to see it. The first day's collections were heart-stoppingly bad. And I'm the producer. I was the producer and we had a co-producer. And we were stunned. Why would India not want to see the story of the youngest girl in history on the planet to climb Mount Everest? Who had come from a tribal area, who had been tending her goat, Sandesh, till 9 months before that. She had no clue forget mountaineering, what a city looked like. So the reality of the fact is that you can make the sports film, but who's going to come to watch it? How are you going to get people to watch it? So I really doubt cinema is the vehicle for any kind of mass change, because it depends on too many commercial factors. Or then you change the story. But, no,
if I take from there and come to Saurav Ghoshal, mass change, and this is part journalist question and part deeper. I keep asking you about 28, and you think I'm asking you as a journalist to get my headline. Saurav Ghoshal commits saying he will play 28. No, I ask you the question because today Saurav Ghoshal continuing to play till 28, or at least the hope, will keep Indian squash alive, the narrative alive, the headline alive, the story alive. And that is why, what he just said, embodiment of change, maybe not cinema, but people, personalities. Today, Rahul Bose being in rugby, Anil Singh being in marathon, Sarvesh Kumar and Tata Steel being in multiple different sports, Saurav Ghoshal continuing till 28. That's why I ask this question. What is the thought, Mr. Ghoshal? Because you would have retired. You have told me this. Asian Games, done. That day that IOC thing happened. Will you continue? Do you think 28 is now incentive enough for you to be the flag bearer and your team to be the flag bearer, and you think that can be the moment for Indian squash? Saurav Ghoshal.
I mean, first of all, thank you for those lofty words. I mean, that's a lot of pressure on my shoulders. Talk about pressure all day this morning. I mean, obviously, you know, like you said, Asian Games was in a lot of ways kind of a full stop after 20 years of doing what I've done at the professional level, and it just felt like there was you know, nothing more to kind of really aspire to and keep going. The Olympics is it's like a star in the sky, right? It's been something that the whole squash world has been, you know, trying to get into for like 20 years, and to get in, forget me, I'm a small speck of dust in the whole universe, but like for squash in general as a sport, it's a big flexion point in its history. So for me, obviously, if I can do 28 and win a medal for India, I mean, that is like, that's the crowning glory for whatever career that I've had. There's no doubt about that, you know, there can be no two ways about it. Having said that, you know, the reality is that I'm 37 today, although I would wish that I was 25, but I am 37, and 5 years is a long time, right? 5 years in sport is an eternity. Lots can happen. I don't know whether I will be there for 28 or not, but I do know that deep inside, I want to be part of that movement in some form or the other, whether it be me personally, you know, going to LA and being on the podium, or helping someone do that from India, or creating an ecosystem in some form through me to be able to achieve that kind of goal of taking squash to the next level. I know heart of heart, for everything that this sport has given me, and the very reason that I'm here today is because of this sport, that it's not just a responsibility, but it is something that will give me an immense amount of satisfaction, and you know, I will feel fulfilled in a lot of ways if I can manage to be part of that process to get India a medal at the Olympics in 28 and beyond. So yes, I'm not going to commit and say that, you know, as you said, I mean, it's great to hear, but to be part of the narrative of playing so that, you know, squash stays relevant for that amount of time, I think, I don't think I'm so big that, you know, squash is not going to survive without me. I think there are other people who have done great things and will continue to do great things for this sport in this country, but I would dearly love to be part of that narrative in some form, and hopefully come out on the right side of it with all guns blazing in 28.
Anil, when I hear a Rahul Bose, when I hear a Saurav Ghoshal, it gives me optimism. When I hear you and Vivek, it makes me feel positive about my country. 9 o'clock television debates of toxicity, politicians gunning for each other's throat, the violence that we see in our society, and violence, not simply physical violence, there is violence of words. Look at the choice of words being used. This is also India. Rahul Bose is India, Saurav Ghoshal's India, Sarvesh Kumar's India. Running gives me that satisfaction. When I see 60,000 people in your marathon run in Mumbai, how do you look back at this 20-year-old journey?
You know, with immense... Hello. With immense pride. But you know what, we've only literally we're at the tip of the iceberg. I know it's a cliche, but it's true. But you know what, it's not even how you feel. What I'm truly proud of, and is people like Rahul has been part of the movement for running from day one. You know, he's been joined at the hip. Sarvesh and Tata Steel, today they are the it's the Tata Steel Kolkata 25K, the #1 25K on planet Earth, a gold label event. The TCS, that's the family we are here. Tatas, look at TCS. TCS World 10K is the #1 10K on planet Earth. The Tata Mumbai Marathon is the 7th largest event in the world. Frankly, we are #2 in terms of bucket list. But when it comes to, you can't beat 100-year history of Boston and Chicago and London. So we will never be sick, but it's not about that. And if you also understand this, today we are proud owners of the new World 15K, the number one 15K in the world. And even the Vedanta Delhi Half Marathon is the number one. So can you imagine 20 years ago, today India has 5 number one events in the world. It's a $450 million industry annually. The number one people traveling across the globe are Indians for running, the number one community. Women are now 40% of this movement. So if you look at all this, and one fact people don't know, the number two sport in which the sponsorships are after cricket, it's running. It's 900 crores in running. There's 1,789 events, timed events. So if you see, and that's what I'm saying, even in squash, we were very privileged to do the Mahindra International Squash event, the number one squash event in the world. But that's if you don't create this opportunity, it wasn't there when we just started. It's about systems, it's about what buckets, how you want to build it. And if you can get the right messaging across, you're a wonderful nation with great passion.
So, Boria, I just want to add to what...
when you add to that, also tell me, did you believe Kolkata would become the number one? 20,000 people in Kolkata?
I'll tell you, 8 years back, Boria, when we first joined hands, 5 o'clock Sunday morning, middle of December, there are around 2,800 odd people coming, and out of which maybe 1,000 odd people were wanting to run. Last year, we had to shut at 18,000 people. 7 years' time. And that's how the wildfire spread. In Mumbai, for example, our sister company does it. We closed it 55,000, and the total applicants, how many runners applied? 300,000 odd. So that's time. Yeah. So that's the kind of movement that we are trying to create, health, fitness, camaraderie. So, and the kind of response that we have been getting has been quite mind-boggling.
Okay, let's get all of you a minute each. Saurabh Ghoshal, you go first. We are on the cusp. Medals, yes. Stories, yes. Where do you see Indian sport, Indian squash, say maybe 2 years down the line? Because you can't plan too far ahead, but are you as positive and as optimistic about your sport in the light of what has happened more with the Olympic inclusion?
I think, I think the Olympics is going to bring with it a lot of stakeholders getting involved, which we haven't had as a broad base in the past in the country, which is going to help, create that base of the pyramid with a lot more players coming in and create that infrastructure and an ecosystem. In terms of the players that we have, because if you're talking 2 years down the line, you're not going to suddenly pluck someone out of thin air and make that person a high performance player in 2 years, right? So you're going to look at someone who is already showing some potential. Now, I'm not going to take names because I feel taking names is going to put external pressure on them, and they need all the freedom they have to convert that potential into actual performance. So I think we do have a few people who have an immense amount of potential, who can do great things for Indian squash over the next decade or so. And I'm hoping with all my heart that they can achieve that potential. We are all there to help them the best we can and guide them the best we can, and give them the experience of what we've gone through to prepare them for what lies ahead, because it's not an easy road. It's a tough road, but it is a road that can be traveled and can be dominated if done properly. So I have a positive outlook on that front, but that doesn't mean that we don't have to work hard every single day and make things better than what they already are, because they're not ideal, right? It is not optimal. It is suboptimal in a lot of ways, but that also gives you hope that there is so much room for improvement, that that we have achieved what we've achieved in these circumstances and these kind of restrictive surroundings, that if we can achieve that optimal state, the power to release that immense potential that we have has the power to kind of take over the world. And that is the hope that you live with in life in general and in sport in general. And that is what drives you every single day to give your best and do everything that you can for yourself, for people around you, and for your country at large.
Love these words. Love these words. Ogni, let me ask you a question. When, as one of Kolkata's best radio jocks, and you do a show, and you talk about sport, because I know you're deeply passionate about it. How much do you talk about new sport narratives? Do you talk about marathons, squash, rugby, archery? Because I know you talk about cricket and football, but how important are these new sport narratives for somebody who is as popular as you?
I think it's really, really important. And as you know, Radio Mirchi has been a part of the TSK 25 event right from the start. So I think what's important is that we keep on harping on these stories. I think we just cannot overlook some stories and choose to, speak about only certain stories. We cannot compartmentalize few stories and say we're only going to talk about cricket and football. Narrative, the new sports narrative is here to stay. India is rightfully on the global map. This is an Olympics year. We are hoping for a lot of medals. So I think it's really, really important for us to keep harping on these factors, and the change has to start with us. The change has to start from media. There has to be proper media coverage of these sports narratives. Only then can we hope that a Trailblazers Conclave 2.0 will indeed bring a sea change.
Sarvesh, when TSK happened, and I'll go with Anil and close with Rahul. Kolkata again, I mean, what you just said, 2,000 to 18,000. These are numbers, but what did you see change qualitatively? Did you see the passion change? Did you see people realizing, okay, there's a health change? Did you see the pandemic influence our lifestyle, saying, oh, you know what, now we need to be more healthy, we need to be more conscious? Has the post-pandemic mentality changed? What is your sense, Sarvesh Kumar?
So Bodia, see, one is that earlier when there were many people assembling on a Sunday morning, there was more of a festive kind of atmosphere. People wanted to listen to the music, listen to what was happening around, see what is happening there. But what I see now is that many more people wanting to run. Now this fire has not only spread from this part of the country to Jamshedpur, to our mining location, Noah Mundi. We had a run in Joda. Joda is a far-flung mining lake location to a location in Meramandli, Angul. So the whole, from the epicenter, the fever is spreading around. And this fever is spreading around not for people to come and watch what people are doing, but people wanting to participate in the whole festivity. So that's a big change that we're seeing across.
Anil, this change that Sarvesh just mentioned, from consumption of sport and spectatorship, participatory sport. Running is the only sport where we actually applaud ourselves. Absolutely. When Rahul Bose plays rugby, I applaud Rahul Bose as a spectator. When I run, I applaud myself. So, and I become part of that movement, the thousands, the 55,000, 60,000, whatever it is. Have you also seen this change, and do you think now this is a revolution that it won't stop?
Oh, no, stop no here. It's going to be a tsunami. It's not about stopping. But before we get there, I think it's very important for people to understand is how you lead sport. Rahul is a great example. I mean, I was part of rugby for a long, long time in terms of support. But I never ever saw, and why am I bringing this up is because it's so important if you approach it correctly, the difference you can make. And the difference has to be made at the ground level, because sport is simple. Sport needs a feeder system. And if you can't create a feeder system by getting everyone involved at the grassroots, you'll never have a sport. You'll have a showpiece. Even look at Tata Steel. Look at what they're doing for chess. Look what they're doing for archery. Look what they did for running in the East. And I can go on and on. They don't need that. They don't need anything. They could be the #1 sponsor in cricket today if they wanted to. But that's what makes them. They don't work on an ROI. I've never heard Sarvesh tell me, what's my ROI? ROI is created by people like us together to achieve what we want. So I think it's all about intent, how you lead it, what your values are, and then how you are true to what takes it to build. I think you can do magic. And we'll be shocked to know how this country is. I mean, it's got every possible plus point that you want. You just have to harness it, garner it, and really, give it the right kind of nurturing. If you nurture it well, you can do magic. It takes people like these to truly make a difference. And you're seeing the difference in rugby. You're seeing the difference in everything. You're seeing the difference in how sport can. That's beautiful. And if you get people, if you show that, hey, you can come and join us, be a part, can we help? It's fantastic.
Rahul Bose, you have the last word. How hopeful? Kotota hopeful about rugby and more Asian Games women's rugby. That was sort of spectacular. How hopeful?
Look, I said this in the earlier session. Nobody is interested in a sport in which you don't win. Nobody is interested in a federation that runs a sport that doesn't win. All these wonderful stories of Tejas or Sandhya or Anushka or stories from the world of squash or running, these stories gain everything to do with our attention if it ends with, and then she won. After all this through the villages, then she climbed Everest. Then they won the gold for the first time. That has to be the payoff. It cannot just be, this is the story, and then she lost. You never heard of that. So right now, rugby is on the journey to win. And I've said this even to the ministry. I've said, when we win, we will come to you. Till then, we will not be talking about the great success story. There is no story to report. The report will happen when we win. And for that, in a federation, with 27 states playing, and all these players from across the country playing, it takes time. 4 years is a blink of an eye for a team sport. Especially a team sport that has come from nowhere, with no money. So, it's going to take time. And I fear that we live in an age where we need the medal now.
Yeah.
If the Asian Games is happening now, why hasn't the medal come today? It's never going to happen today. It's going to happen 2 Asian Games later. If you're not prepared to wait for 8 years, 1,800 or 2,800 to 18,000 has taken 7 years. If you can wait for an individual sport like this to take 7 years, in a team sport, 8 years is a blink of an eye. So 32. Today, our Indian women are ranked 10th or 9th, depending where you look at which part of the year, in Asia. And we have to make the top 2 or 3 in Asia in the next 6, 7, 8 years. 6, 7 years. The ambition is to get there. Then after Indian hockey, in the last 80 years, that will be the first team to make the Olympics. Now I've said this, everybody will start saying, Olympics, rugby, Olympic, rugby. No. No, not for the next 7 years. Let's just, please, nobody talk about it. We don't want to be talked about. We just want to make sure that when we talk to you, it is with the end of the sports film, where she climbs Everest, where the team gets a medal.
Because he said that you wanted to ask a final question, Ogni, and I'll close.
Yeah.
Yes.
Hope is a good thing, Red. Maybe the best of things, and no good thing ever dies, said an iconic line from an iconic film. So, I think being hopeful and being optimistic is the best way forward, and absolutely, winning matters. See,
I'm going to add something. And work, and work, and work till you have nothing left in you. If you think you're going to get there without working every single day between 12 and 16 hours a day, forget it. Just forget it. You have to work harder than you've ever worked before, and then some. There's no answer. There's nothing. Nothing can substitute for relentless hard work.
I think that's it. We've got the catchline of the session.
I'll finish off with a rugby story. Again, thanks to Rahul Bose. So he called us to the rugby team's practice right here in Salt Lake at the Sai facility. So we go there, and there is this young girl called Hupi Majhi from Odisha. So Rahul says, feel free, you are okay to interview anybody, open access. So I take Hupi Majhi, we all go with Hupi to the hostel next door, and I say, so what's your story? Ki kore shuru korlen? Where did you start? Kaise start kiya aapne? And here's the story in 1 minute. So Hupi Majhi is from Odisha, from this village where nobody has played rugby. Forget rugby, nobody has played anything. Keonjhor. So her father did not want her to play any kind of sport. She was not allowed to wear shorts. Half pant porte allow kora hoto na. She was not allowed. So Hupi did not know what to do, and her father said, if you do play sport, you'll be beaten up. maybe physically, sort of taken to task. So Hoopy having no other agency said fair enough. And then she goes to a hostel. She goes to a hostel and thinks my parents have never come out of our village, so they will not know if I continue to play rugby. And by the way, all of this is documented in an interview. So Hoopy goes to the to the hostel and continues to play rugby on the assumption that parents would not know. Now what happens? She makes the Indian team, Rahul Bose's federation. And the local newspaper the next day publishes Hoopy Maji's photo. The parent looks at it, the father looks at the photo and says, how dare you? Again, you are a disgrace to the entire village, you can't do it. He takes Hoopy Maji to the hut, literally locks her up and says, forget sport, not happening. Now Hoopy Maji, being the innocent Hoopy Maji, says, fair enough, I can't of course disobey my father, but you know what, the government of Odisha has given 5 lakh rupees for anybody who makes the Indian team. So Baba, please take the 5 lakh rupees and I quit. And just says it. And the father looks at Hoopy Maji and says, 5 lakh rupees? And she says, yeah, 5 lakh rupees diya hai, wo aap rakh lo, and main kal se band kar deta hu. So the father literally holds Hoopy Maji, and I'm not exaggerating, and says, our family, 4 generations have not earned 5 lakhs. You are talking about 5 lakhs? And then takes Hoopy Maji and parades around the village and says, this village, everybody should play rugby. I don't know how many, 4 players from that village, something like that? 4 players from that village on the cusp of the Indian team. Rahul Bose, you're doing something wonderful. If this is not empowerment, if sport doesn't inspire, ladies and gentlemen, I don't know what does. On that note, Ognijit Sen, Saurav Ghoshal, Anil Singh, Sarvesh Kumar and Rahul Bose, new sports narratives, they inspire. Can we please have my friend Gaurav Mukherjee to come on stage and felicitate our panelists, Rahul Bose, Sarvesh Kumar, Anil Singh, Saurav Ghoshal and Ognijit Sen. Can we have our teammates to get the gifts on stage, please? Ladies and gentlemen, post this, we have a tea and coffee break for about 25 minutes and we will reconvene sharp at 4:30. So, yes. I've got one of these before. I think I can hold it for now. Hold, I'll hold it. Can we all step up for a picture? Can we all? One more, right? Here it is. You must. I already have This was not supposed to work. Huh? No, this is personalized, some personalized plates, not momos, plates. Ogni, now. Or no Vashchana. Gaurav, let's pose for a photo. Yeah, diye da. Ha, diye da. ঠিক আছে, let's all pose for a photo, তারপর নিয়ে নেবে। দিচ্ছে না? Yes. Thank you very, very much. Okay, so we break for tea and coffee. We reconvene at 4:30. Tea and coffee is served outside for everybody. And if you still want left. And if you want more food is still served here. Both these refrigerators have been replenished. So kindly